Cards to Yards, brought to you by the Adventure Stadium and the Adventure Begins, located on 1488, right next to a big old movie theater. I'm Chaz Graves, and here with me today, Preston Laird and Mark Blair.
All right, thanks, Chaz, for that introduction. I'm Mark here with Preston. This is Cards to Yards, shooting from Adventure Stadium, the sister store, sibling of Adventure Begins Comics and Games in over in the Woodlands.
Redheaded stepchild, maybe?
Yeah. No, I don't think so. No. But so what have you been up to? We got the MLBs underway, NBA playoffs heating up, NHL playoffs around the corner. We don't talk a lot of hockey, but
I'm excited.
NHL is exciting.
My Colorado Avalanche are kicking butt, so I'm really looking forward to the playoffs this year. I mean, they've been close the last couple of years, but just haven't been able to get over the hump.
They are one of those teams that just puts up insane points during the regular season. Then when the playoff comes, not necessarily choke, but
they
they
just ran out of gas last year.
Yeah, it just doesn't keep up. They've had a couple of injuries. I know the Landeskog injury was a real big one.
They had some pretty major injuries last year. I think that kind of derailed them in the playoffs as well. So,
and then we'll get to NBA and MLB in a second, but
lots of exciting stuff going on.
Yeah, some industry news to start off with. Something you and I are very familiar with, the starting lineup.
Yeah.
Starting lineup is coming back. It's going to be available through Hasbro Pulse starting in September. Also, as we kind of figured would be the case, Fanatics has their foot in the door of that as well.
Yep.
It's going to be offered on fanatics.com, a lot of team sites, and in person at select Fanatics stores. So when they were talking about, buying up all those licenses and getting stuff to the people, they weren't joking around.
Nope.
What memories do you have of starting lineup?
Wow. When starting lineup first came out in the late 80s, of course, Michael Jordan was all the rage. The two hottest starting lineup figures was Michael Jordan and Nolan Ryan. Everybody wanted Nolan Ryan, Michael Jordan. So I scoured the countryside, going store to store, snatching up as many Jordans and Nolan Ryans as I could. So anytime you found one of those, it was like a treasure hunt. It was fantastic. So, and some of those Jordans, I mean, the starting lineups, if they're in mint condition, I mean, they're worth a lot of money these days. I mean, just the cards that they put inside the packaging, like a PSA 10 Michael Jordan trading card that was in the package is like thousands of dollars if it's a PSA 10. So super collectible product. I'm very excited. I mean, with all the players that we've got these days to collect, I mean, it's going to be insane. I'm sure they're going to have short prints and chase, players and things of that nature. But it holds a dear place to my heart. I used to have maybe 50 of them at one time, and I wound up selling them over the years, and wished I still had some of my Jordans. But what about you? Did you have some starting lineups?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I remember they were stadium giveaways like at the Astros game. So Biggio, Shane Reynolds, some other Astros around that time. And like you said, the cards were one of those things that really blew up during this pandemic boom that we've had.
Yeah.
And especially just, I guess, like people were grading so much stuff and sending so much stuff to PSA and Beckett that they were like, what else can we send? So they were like, oh, because those cards, if you remember, were protected by the blisters, so you can kind of see
how good a shape it is.
The shape that they're in. As far as obviously like cut and color breaks and stuff are always going to be downgraded, but you can those bubbles kept them in pretty decent shape unless they were rattled around just to a crazy degree. Has not been a mention of trading cards with them, but I can't imagine they don't. I'm
sure they will.
The way I would personally do it is probably wrap them in a wrapper and then offer parallels as
cool.
inserts.
Heck yeah.
Just find a way.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
But then you're forced to open it.
Yeah.
So, but I like your idea.
Yeah.
Man,
I mean,
we should get a hold of Fanatics and tell them.
You're forced to open it, but a lot of people are probably going to open them anyway. Here's the one thing I want to know. And no knock against toys in the 80s because G.I. Joe is one of my favorite lines of all time.
Star Wars, are you kidding me?
But comparing like a 1988 starting lineup figure to a McFarlane figure, so do you think there's going to be a middle ground, or do you think they're just going to go ahead and go heavy articulation?
I think the articulation is definitely going to be on a higher level. So at least I hope so. The likeness and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Especially with the 3D technology that we have these days for creating, figures and things of that nature. So it's exciting. I mean, I can't wait to see it. So it's coming out, what, September?
September.
Awesome.
And then one thing that they could do is they could make regular ones and then make throwback ones.
Yeah.
Just the vintage, because it
Absolutely.
Hasbro Pulse, if you're not familiar, is a collector's site. So they do, like, G.I. Joes and Transformers each have 4 different lines based on collectability and allegiance to the older brand, but then with the new heavier articulation and transformation and stuff like that. So we'll see. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
That'll be we'll have to wait till September. You know what? You won't have to wait till September, and you won't even have to wait till the draft is over to get new cards of these players that are about to be drafted this week in the NFL.
Yeah, baby.
Panini, again, is featuring their Panini Instant Draft Night photo cards. You can actually start ordering them like before the draft even starts. The draft is this weekend in Las Vegas. And for
tonight?
Tonight.
Yeah.
As we're recording tonight, and then over
Thursday.
the weekend, they're expecting about 21 players to be in attendance.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one, I think. Do you ever think on purpose they invite someone that they know is going to slip? Because it just seems to build so much drama. And you remember, like, Aaron Rodgers is going like this.
Yes.
And of course, it all worked out for him. But now I will say, back then when Aaron Rodgers was a rookie, every pick you dropped was millions. Now, because of the salary cap restructuring, it's not millions. So if you were supposed to go third and you go 21, not as big of a hit.
No.
But back then, oh my goodness, they were losing like $30-40 million and just going like this the whole time.
And it's to the team's benefit as far as the first rounders go, because they're locked in, what is it, an extra year or 2 years on their initial rookie contract.
Yeah.
So beyond the first round, then you're going to lose some of these players a little bit quicker than what you would if you sign them in the first round. So you get, I think, overall a good value for their first initial rookie contract versus anything that's past the first round. So
we'll see what happens. It always seems like they're like, the quarterback crop is not that great, and then like quarterbacks go 3 out of the top 5 because teams are so desperate.
Yeah.
I want the Texans to go quantity over quality. Well, I don't know how you feel about it. There's not really any guys that stick out for me, so I just want them to get, if they can get like mid-round first level, but like 2 or 3 times over, like they need to trade down and pick up bulk, because their team is just, they need to build.
They do need to build, and offensive line is definitely a concern. I think offensive line's at the top of their minds right now as far as the draft goes in the first round. I mean, there's a generational offensive lineman that's available that's probably going to go in the top 5 from what I'm hearing. But then again, this team has so many needs receivers, needs running backs. They may draft third, fourth round quarterback. Who knows? Just to see if they can develop something as well. I don't know how confident they are in Davis Mills, but I tend to lean on the side that I think Davis Mills is actually going to wind up being a pretty darn good quarterback. Just judging from what I saw for the last 3 or 4 games last year, his consistency and his accuracy seems to be spot on. So we'll see what happens. He just needs a few more weapons.
And they did sign Brandon Cooks to an extension.
Okay, yeah.
So I mean, like, they're not completely just starting from scratch, and I think they understand that you're gonna have to give that guy some talent at receiver. He's not one of these guys who's gonna make average to good. He, so he's gonna need that help.
I do think they're going to
ways.
take a receiver and a running back in the first 3 rounds. That's my prediction. So
well,
3 or 4, we'll say 4. In the first 4 rounds, they're going to have at least 1 receiver, 1 running back.
We'll see if they still have that New England Patriot mentality after all these years that O'Brien kind of got us in the habit of, where you don't put a high value on those premium positions. We'll see. Mm-hmm. They also need excitement. So if they shoot for the moon and go for excitement over depth, I'll be proud of them, because they got to try something.
We need some excitement. I mean, what is this? We haven't had a first round pick in 3 years, right?
Right.
So now we've got 2, and there's rumors we might be trading up to the 9th spot, maybe. I mean, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will see.
I'll be watching.
Are you watching the NBA playoffs?
I actually have watched a few
Okay.
games this past week. I saw the game where Ja just lost his mind and had like the dunk of the season. I mean, amazing how they came back and won that game, being down I think 13 or 14 going into the fourth quarter, even the series up 2-2. I did not see any games last night, so maybe you could educate me on what transpired last night. I think Memphis did play last night, yeah.
Memphis actually played the night before.
That was when they tied it.
Timberwolves blew another lead.
Yep.
Ja comes back and scores a layup with 1 second left.
Yeah.
It was super pretty. So they are up 3-2, headed back to Minnesota. Last night, the Warriors wrapped up things 4-1 against the Nuggets, and the Heat. The Bucks also moved on.
Yeah.
They won 4-1.
I was telling you, the Warriors are peaking at the right time. I mean, they're a dangerous team, man. Dangerous and lots of experience.
And what's interesting is the number 1 and 2 seeds in the East have had no problem as the Heat, took care of business against the Bulls in 5, and then Brooklyn Nets did not have that storybook turnaround that everyone was hoping. Ben Simmons didn't play a single second.
Yep.
I don't know what's going to happen with the future of that franchise.
Harden's being Harden,
Well, Harden's on Philly, so
I know,
he's fine.
But that's just Harden's MO. He doesn't stay any place anytime long. So.
Well, that one really wasn't on him. I think that's more about the kind of power struggle. Not even power struggle. They gave the power to KD and Kyrie, it seems like.
Yeah.
It ended up costing them. They got swept against the Celtics. The Celtics started off looking like it was going to be a real bad season, turned it around, and still, I think, not talent-wise, but they have the best team, team chemistry right now. A lot of that, though, has to do with the fact that the Warriors have been so battered and bruised with Draymond Green and Klay Thompson, just now kind of getting back into form. So
yeah, that's true. And while we're on the Warriors, you got to mention Jordan Poole. This kid, you want to talk about stock? Mm-hmm. He's gone up like 500% in the last 2 weeks because he's just lighting it up in the playoffs. I mean, he just kind of came out of nowhere. Dude's averaging, 25 a game or somewhere around there for the series? Yeah.
Yeah, talk about securing his spot and, making his agent very happy. Yeah. With we mentioned the Grizzlies, how they've been struggling against the Timberwolves. Those teams look very similar to me, and I think that's why they fit that. So I don't think the Grizzlies will struggle as much if they get to the second round. The Suns, they lost Booker for a couple of weeks, and it's really showed against the Pelicans. Again, they pulled it out in Game 5, so they're up 3-2. But I didn't think the Pelicans would even win a game against the Suns. We were talking about how dominant they've been this whole time.
Yep. Yeah, losing Booker is definitely going to cause them some trouble.
But right now, the way the teams are playing, I mean, I'm going to look. It's going to be hard to knock off the Bucks. You always, the defending champion, you got to give them a couple of points anytime they make it back this far. But I'm thinking Celtics Warriors right now, just the way that the first round's gone.
Yep.
All right. So on the opposite end of things, MLB just started, but if you're counting, it's 11% over. So we're 11% into 162 game season. Can we redo that? Like the Astros being at 500 is really bothering me. I know we've been spoiled a lot.
Yeah.
Do you see them being a 500 team the rest of the way?
No.
Or no?
No. I mean, they're kind of notorious at slow starts. I mean, they've had a few seasons in the last 5 or 6 years where they have tremendous starts, but they've had slow starts before. My favorite player, Kyle Tucker, always is a slow starter. I mean, he's starting to heat it up in the last week. 7 RBIs in the series alone with a home run and bases clearing double last night. So my guy's coming around. I think the pitching staff is average right now.
Oh, yeah.
There's a couple of good arms on the staff. Javier looked decent last night. He does have some control issues on occasion, but he's got some nasty stuff. And I was happy to see him get the win and make it through 5 innings last night. But yeah, it's a little sketchy. Odorizzi, I don't have a lot of confidence in personally. I think he's got attitude issues, from last year. I don't know what's up with this dude, but he seems like he's got a little bit of a mental makeup issue. But Verlander's looked pretty darn good after being out for a season and a half. McCullers is rehabbing, so we've got some reinforcements on the way. But overall, it's not a complete shock that we're kind of hovering around 500 right now. I mean, it's been an up and down start to the season. The bats are ice cold for the most part. I mean, plus we lost Altuve for I don't know how long. But I'm not worried about the long-term potential for this team. I mean, 162 game season, so there's a very, very long way to go, and I'm hopeful that we'll be right in the mix.
I don't think the Mets are going to remain the best team in baseball, but they are hot right now.
I love the Mets. The team that I've been talking about for the last couple of years because of the extreme amount of young talent that they've been siphoning into the system is Toronto. I just think Toronto is the real deal. I think they're going to be good for a lot of years to come because they've got such a young core. So Toronto is kind of my dark horse going to the World Series this year, outside of my favorite team, the Astros.
Yeah, and they got like everyone's kids and brothers on that team too. I mean, no, but
the Biggios and the Guerreros and the
and the Bichettes
and the
Gurriels. It's crazy. Another kind of Vegas odds favorite or prediction that is really fueling the already hot fire is that Wander Franco could end up being a 21-year-old MVP. Again, 11% through the season.
Yeah.
But the dude's not going to be a bust. We can say that.
No, he's definitely not going to be a bust. Yeah.
The only last point on all this, Astros switching to a 6-man rotation, a little bit worrisome for me or troublesome in that they just we don't have even 2 dominant starters. That wouldn't happen. So we'll see. I think Jake Odorizzi, the only thing he's good for is if you have a fancy baseball team name, just name your team. I like my eggs over Edie's.
Odorizzi.
Odorizzi. Yeah.
I love it. That's a good one.
So that's it. Only 89% more of the season to go. So I'm sure we'll check back in for the last 5 months.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, products. Bowman not coming out this week.
Yeah.
Now it's not as bad as you have some products from other companies being delayed 2, 3, 4 months.
Yeah.
This is just a week. This is just going to be a week. Any other news in that regard?
Well, I mean, there's been delays across the board on all different types of product, but what we've got this week, brand new in the shop, we've got Panini One Football, fantastic product, just incredible looking encased cards that come in the Panini One product. And then we had the encased football that came in last week. We've also got a Revolution basketball brand new this week as well. Really good price point on that stuff at $250 a box. So come in and grab a box of your Revolution. Just a super cool looking product. I love the graphics and the designs on the Revolution product. Next week we've got Court Kings basketball. We've got National Treasures football, which is going to be insane. Donruss UFC. That'd be popular as well, not getting quite as much as that. But yeah, a steady stream of new products going to be coming out. We've got a lot of football coming out in the next month, including Prism and Select and some other stuff. So a little bit news on the card grading front. HGA has suspended submissions for the next 6 to 8 weeks. They're hoping to open it back up within a 2-month time frame. They have changed ownership recently. Mm-hmm. New ownership wants them to proceed and be able to meet the service levels that they have advertised for their customers. So I think it's a wise decision. It's not going to be like they're going to be shutting down for a year like PSA and Beckett did. Okay. So hopefully we'll have some news in the next month and a half on when HGA will open up submissions again. So. But other than that, I think that's about all we've got on the card front. One more thing, really not sports cards related, but trading cards. We've got a Star Wars Stellar Signatures break that we're going to be going on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. And $220 a spot. Every spot gets a hit, and you can pull some just absolutely insane autographs out of this set. If you're a Star Wars fan at all, you're very familiar with it. So... come grab your spot. I think I'm going to grab a spot myself because I'm a Star Wars geek. So, but
yeah, there's some high end stuff in that. That is going to be crazy. Well, Preston, I think that's about it.
Yeah.
I threw out a term that maybe not everyone's familiar with if you're getting into the hobby for the first time or have just been out of it for a while. This is something that's occurred with the invention of the internet. So
Yes.
if you haven't collected cards since before the internet, get ready for this. Here's our glossary term of the week. It's an on-demand card. This was mentioned, of course, in the story about the NFL draft and how Panini is instantly offering NFL cards through Panini Instant.
Yep.
Topps also does this with Topps Now and Topps On Demand. Have you ever partaken in any of those?
Actually, I've bought a lot of on-demand cards. I've bought on Topps.com several times. They've got all different types of on-demand products.
Tons.
Where you pick a particular player, you purchase that player, and then after 24 hours they shut off the sales, and then they print exactly how many were purchased. So, you could have some cards that may have 100 of them printed, and then others you might have 5,000 that were printed. So it's a really cool way to collect and to get a limited product. A lot of those things are in super high demand. On the aftermarket. So yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of the on-demand product.
Yeah, not to be confused with like any of the Topps digital apps. These are you actually pay for the card, you get it mailed to you, and like Preston said, the print run's determined once that order window closes.
And they do it with living set where they'll print one card of one player on a specific team. As long as they're on that team, there'll never be another card printed. So if they're traded or whatever free agency, then they'll print an additional card with a new team. So I've always loved living set on Topps. It's a beautiful card. The artwork's fantastic. So.
And they also have that for Star Wars, where there's like a limitless amount of characters.
Yeah. I've got some Jabba the Hutts and some other stuff in the living set myself.
Absolutely. So. All right, well, that'll do it for Preston. I'm Mark. This has been Cards to Yards from Adventure Stadium and Adventure Begins Comics, Games, and more. Back to you, Chaz.
Well, gang, that's all for today's episode. So join us next week. Cards to Yards, brought to you by the Adventure Stadium and the Adventure Begins. Again, we're located off 1488 and Woodland Square Boulevard. See you next time.